ನೋಡಿ ಈಗ ಫೋನ್
whose presence honors us and whose expertise will undoubtedly enrich our discussions and deliberations throughout this event. Your contribution to the field of architecture inspires us all, and we are privileged to have you grace this occasion. And further, I extend my warm welcome to Architect Viju Kuriakos, co-founder Architecture Rachana, who will be joining us shortly. We are equally honored to have with us our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. M.N. Channabasappa sir, Director of SIT, whose visionary leadership has propelled our institution to a great heights. In absence, I welcome Dr. Shivkumaraya, CEO SIT, and Dr. S.P. Dinesh, Principal SIT, whose guidance and support have been invaluable in shaping the academic landscape of our institution. To all the members, faculty members, students, and participants gathered here, your enthusiasm and passion for architecture are the driving force behind Utkram 2024. Your relentless efforts and energy is what makes events like this a resounding success. We extend a warm welcome to each one of you and hope that this symposium will serve as a platform for meaningful exchange and collaboration. Utkram 2024 is not just a symposium, it's a celebration of creativity and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Over the next few hours, we'll witness thought-provoking discussions, innovative designs, and groundbreaking ideas that have the potential to shape the future of architecture. I encourage each one of you to participate actively and make the most of this enriching experience. Let us embrace the spirit of curiosity and innovation as we embark on this journey together. Once again, a warm welcome to Utkram 2024. May this symposium be a catalyst for inspiration, learning, and meaningful connections. Thank you.
For the kind words of welcome. Thank you, Madam. I would now like to invite our distinguished guest to light the ceremonial lamp. would now like to welcome Ritika to the stage to present department's annual report. Good morning, everyone. Department report for the year 2023-24, SIDDGANGA District of Technology, School of Architecture. I heartily welcome to our Director, Dr. M. Chandra and CEO Dr. Shivkumaraya, Principal Dr. S. V. Dinesh, in their absence, Professor Madhumati P. Head of the Department, School of Architecture, faculty, and all the students present here. Initiated in the year 1992, School of Architecture is the arrow of cutting talent to make a better world. We strive to become the best version of ourselves and only aim at positive growth, taking many strides in the last year to increase our outreach, learning, and presence. I take immense pride to present the department review, and I would like to credit my listing the achievement of the faculty members of SOA SID. Faculty have attended workshops and faculty development programs organized by COA, SEPT, and ECOS Foundation. They also have enrolled in NPTEL courses in structure, form, and synergy, visual communication, research methodology, and international studies in vernacular architecture. Dr. Sagar P.S. has been awarded the Junior Fellowship under the Center for Cultural Resources and Training, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Our department students have not only excelled in academics and co-curricular, but also participated in and won extracurricular events hosted by CIT College, SJP College, and VQ Fest, along with Spandana, Halstorm at SIT, in face painting, sketching, clay modeling, and many more. Student achievements for the academic year 2020. 9th and 7th students have participated in transparence at national level, and Kushi Saundarya Utkram have came second runner-up in interior design category. Hashini K. came winning spot in the best video project architecture category. Nia NH has been shortlisted in excellent thesis award at COA DRC. Pooja M. Rahana Krishna Kumar Rashi Singh by the team E3F Sustainable Design Award. Students have participated in various competitions like Council of Architecture Heritage Awards. Students have presented the research papers, National Association of Students of Architecture, NASA activities. Students have participated in zonal and annual NASA convention, shortlisted in the top 50 of 66-year NASA AMDC. Moving on to the department initiatives, workshops and seminars conducted by department. Department has been actively involved in conducting many workshops and seminars on topics like unfolding of games, architectural acoustics, mega tall structures, laser cutting bodies, architectural presentation techniques, membrane structures. Study tours conducted by department. Batch 2021 had the opportunity to visit Kerala to expand their horizons of knowledge and gain insight from knowledge people's works. Students had the opportunity to attend the IIA conference in Dharwad. The school has conducted various expert lectures and hands-on sessions as part of industry interactions and under MOUs with professional bodies such as ATD, SSAI, IGPC. The school has initiated an alumni connect series even across India, including Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. Six teams have been shortlisted, and the final will be scheduled online on 27 April. Outreach program. Our school had the opportunity to refurbish the Tumakuru District Hospital malnutrition unit, and students across the years transformed her mundane space into a lively place for toddlers through their artistic skills. The school also initiated Aribu, an overview program focused on various aspects of creative thinking and opportunities in current. And hence, I would like to end the report with a quote by the famous architect Tumakuru. Architecture is a learned game, correct and magnificent, forms resemble in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kritika. I finally invite the respected guests on the stage to unveil the college magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to honor our achievers. I would now like to invite our esteemed guests to come forward and present the awards to our outstanding individuals. From the first sem, for the class topper we have Aksha, and for the design topper we have Siddharaj. And from the second sem, for the design topper, we have Tejaswini. From the first sem, class topper, we have Hafsa. And design topper, Siddharaj. From second sem, we have design topper, Tejaswini, and class topper, Tejaswini. From the third sem, design topper and class topper, we have Amulya. From the fourth sem, design topper, we have Vishnu and class topper, Avantika. Fifth sem, design and class topper, we have Avantika. Sixth sem, design topper, HS Kushi and class topper, Diksha S. From seventh sem, design and class topper, we have HS Kushi. Ninth sem, for the design topper, we have Mahatesh and class topper, Ligraj Casey. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing the winners and runner-up of a competition organized by the esteemed alumni of 1995 batch, architect Narendra Virana. The design challenge for the student was to create a memorial for Dr. Sri Shivkumar Swamiji, emphasizing the tranquility of a space through minimalism. The competition was generously sponsored by Parallels and Gravitas. So, presenting here the winner. We have Ritik and runner-up Kumar Rajput, Chief Rajput and Gopi N. I request architect Raghunathan sir to join us on the stage. I would now like to invite Rachana to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of SIDDGANGA School of Architecture, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to each and everyone for gracing us with your presence today. Your participation and support truly made this event a successful one. We are immensely grateful to have our esteemed guest, Architect Niranjan, Architect Biju Korai, and Architect Domu Krishna Saitanya for your presence. I also thank our Director M.N. Channabasappa sir, CEO Dr. Shivakumar, Principal Dr. S.V. Dinesh, Head of the Department Architect Madhumati P, Dr. Sagar T.S. Faculty Convener, alumni, faculties and students. I thank our sponsors Tumkur Milk Union, Nandini and Shell. Last but not least, a big thank you for all the attendees for your active participation. Let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration learning that we are going to experience today. Thank you once again. We look forward to you at our future endeavors. Warm regards, Rachana.
Thank you, Rachana.
Okay, good morning to all of you. So we'll begin the technical session in another 10 minutes. I request all of you to come have coffee, break for 10 minutes, and we'll get back onto the first session by architect Akshay.
Probably, that's not a good thing.
I know, right? That's how I keep going on.
Ruin failure.
Yeah.
Everybody at class is playing chess.
What happened to
This
hand?
is the 5,000 month.
each product. With all these thoughts in mind, over a period of time, we built something called the culture code, which we felt was important for the studio, important to hold ourselves together. We felt it was important for the studio and the people to know who we are, where do we come from, what are our thoughts, how ambitious are we, etc. And in a way allows people to understand us a little deeper because we do not belong to that place. So when the city has found us, how do we respond? It took us 12 years to do that, the first 12 years of the life. Let's move on to the next one. Our idea of obsessions. So in a way, our obsession lies with doing a lot of things together, a lot of things consistently. And in a way, we find ourselves in this whole context where there are multiple things happening. And the idea of the madness that you see within the whole team is built with this idea of collective obsessions. And this sort of finds its way back into what we do on a typical routine. And most of the times when I talk outside, it's in a way also talking about what I'm doing at this moment. So there's a lot of reading that happens. There's a lot of cinema. That's a very important part of our life. There's a lot of movies that we watch, at least a single movie for me personally is a trigger that I require to sort of start pushing. And then there's music. So there's books, movies, and music. Just a quick story for you to know. Led Zeppelin, 1969, had one of the largest selling albums in the world. After the first album, the next two albums tanked, they do well. And that's where people started saying that the music is not strong enough, it's the name that's selling. You know what they did next? 1971, November, they released an album which had no name. They took one symbol for each band member, each one chose his own symbol. And they put it out. This became the largest selling album. In a way, the idea of no name meant a lot because the music spoke. This had songs like Stairway to Heaven, Kashmir, so many others, Black Dog, etc. That sort of instigated us to think a little deeper and said, can we have our own symbol? Can we have our own way of looking at things? And that's how the idea of Winged Tiger came into picture. Not going to get deep into why, what, etc., but it's our way of seeing that we believe in this idea of storytelling. And this, in a way, tells you the idea of how our name came into picture because purple name doesn't mean anything. So it's the work that comes, not the name. So that's, in a way, is sort of our beginning. When we start looking at possibilities of how we look at things, we realize that we're still rationalizing our approach. We still haven't found a way to say what we like doing. And in a nutshell, we are trying to break it down into two different typologies. One is where we're looking at unique themes so that it becomes a part of our storytelling practice. And the other one is the idea of non-linear thinking. In our projects, slightly better large-scale projects. I'm going to run you through some of the projects just to give a sense of how we think, what we do, etc. A very small project in Bangalore for a client from Saudi. Said that then Saudi area for a client who could actually look at a beautiful place, overlooking the beach, who's always lived in Saudi, spent his formative years in this area. And that's when he said, I want to look at how you would respond to a place like this because when you have a very small space with buildings all around, how do you respond? So it took us 6 months to say yes because we kept saying no. Then he said, "Do you have time now?" We said, "Okay, let's do it together." So the entire process was a process between us and the client, very intimate. What you see is the kind of process that was followed in breaking down the approach where nothing looks outside. So in a way, it's a monolith. And the kind of roof systems that you would see started opening up, so you start looking up because there's nothing around, there are buildings all around. What happens is then you start having a lot of internal codes. In a way, then we started accessing the idea of memories. His idea of Bangalore always talked about brick factories, especially in that lane where he used to walk. And that's where the idea of the skin for the building comes to the logic of the memories that was attached to it. We started working a lot more on this, started developing iterations. All this, what you see is done in a month when we started, and we usually like to do the whole thing together. We don't believe in doing the layouts first, showing, etc. We do the whole thing in one shot. So what you typically see is a presentation that sort of goes beyond just the idea of layouts. So he came down from Saudi after a month, and he said, "We are ready now to show you what we have in mind." The whole idea of working together as a team has always come from the idea of storytelling, the idea of how to look at context. What do you want to look outside? What's around? How does the culture affect? How does the kind of context that you are look into the building, etc. So in a way, it started becoming a very obsessed approach that goes beyond just the idea of rootedness, because for him, the idea of rootedness did not just mean memories, it also meant giving back. So in a way, all the work that was done in the entire project was given to people who probably weren't equipped to understand what we were trying to do. This was built during COVID, and we got all the local people who were in and around Mango area to become equipped with what we were trying to do. There's no paint used in the whole house anywhere. All that you see is this whole craft that becomes a part of brick and concrete. If you see the setting, all those buildings around is what we did not want to open up to also give them that sense of privacy and sort of build a narrative from where you walk and how you start responding, whether you know what's happening inside, or is there a way that the client starts looking at it to be a very strong narrative between what's around, what's existing, settles in, but has its own story. There are also these moments where you can actually stand and look down or look up or look around. So in a way, this whole idea of being able to block that particular scene, because a lot of our thoughts are also coming from movies that we're watching. So in a way, cinema or storytelling is a very intrinsic part of what I believe in. And once you start walking inside, there are just codes that open up, double light, triple light, open the sky, and all that you see is a black limestone all around, and the rest is a craft that took about a year and a half to work on all the finishes that you will see in terms of concrete. Sometimes black limestone being turned around as very thin sheets, and brick that's exposed on the outside, and as a triple layer, so you've got exposed brick that maneuvers itself on the outside. Then you've got a single course of laterite to cut down the heat, and then you've got brick that's made in between. So this idea of rootedness, continuing from what I started off with, is also a little different for this client because he doesn't live here. He feels he belongs to that place. So in a way, it was our way of looking at stories that allows him to come back to this place and feel it's meant to be there, and it's not something that you can do anywhere else for a project like this. Projects like these excite us a lot, even if the scales are smaller, because we go beyond just the mere idea of functioning or functionality, because I think for us it's more about storytelling and poetry. So that's why we do less forms, because people are not ready for it. Some more projects to give you a sense of how we think. This is a project called Rewild Outskirts of Bangalore. Has spectacular views on all around. I think it's a 50-acre site. Looks into a beautiful river on one side and forest on the other. And a lot of stones that were existing. So we started looking at this idea where we're doing our master, not the master plan, we're doing the landscape and a retreat and a lot of other things within that space. So a lot of the times our test sort of happens when we ask the client, are we getting freedom to look at it the way we want? When when they say yes, we push it to the limit. So you got the site there, and that's the kind of view. When we started looking at the structure, we started thinking. We said, is there a way to erase and also have the desire to reveal? So if you look back, you realize that contextually, where should a building like this sit? So we started breaking it down. For one of the small retreats that we were doing, which is actually happening, not this one, but what we start seeing is the way all the units are broken down instead of a very large setup. You break it down, so you build it, then start finding ways to connect them, fit them in a way where it uses less cutting and filling, orient them towards the best views that you could get, and then start playing around with the kind of connect that you want with the surroundings. So in a way where the project actually sits comfortably in terms of how the contours evolved, the build was actually contradicting what I was trying to say. So the client was a little upset in a way saying, what are we trying to do? We thought we're opening up everywhere. But in a way, we were looking at choreographing the openings. We didn't want you to look anywhere, but just walk till we take you to a place where you really have to open up. So all the kind of work that you see here, of course, it was planned to be built with the soil there, that's around, stones that are around. We had a beautiful access to a lot of this, but of course the view is what we were looking at. So we started choreographing these views. So it becomes an intimate connect between where you walk, you don't know what's happening, so the layers, and then it slowly starts opening up to something completely different. Unfortunately, it was a point where we also started realizing that out of that top view that we get from there was actually a better looking side from where you could actually access the forest, the view of the forest. So the client thought we'd probably use that and turn it around and sort of open ourselves up. But we wanted to relook because we said if the view changes and the contours change, we want to change the thought process. So what you see in a week's time where we're actually trying to adapt ourselves to this whole new thing because at that point of time there was a lot of reading that I was doing. And that's when we said let's put it out as a book. So we didn't present it to them as a presentation, so it was all done in cards where we started talking about various chapters. The first being the idea of curiosity. We said, is there a way where the forest, the mountain, and the lake, which you see all around, can come into the site? Is there a way to get them inside? Then we said, is there a way to relook at the way the topographies are? So instead of looking at the forest there, the first idea we get the forest in. So the lowest layer is basically the forest. Then you have the lake, basically where all the water flows, which becomes a small catchment area on the side, and the rest becomes a kind of a mountain on that you're sitting. So in a way, we started talking about a different sense of place in a different sense of finding your own self in a different area. What it basically meant is by separating out the requirements, the cottages actually come down, so you feel very intimate, you're around the forest. The areas which need to open up, you've got a small water body there or a pool, open up to the best views. And then you've got places of residence or places to relax, which is a meditation yoga area, which go on the further end. So in a way, a sense of place actually comes from where you are and how you respond to it. And the kind of movement also needs to get crafted, so you're not expecting everything unless you walk into that place. And that got us to this idea of alternate ways of viewing. So what we essentially did was started either lifting the building up or pushing it down or tilting it around a series of trees, etc. So your idea of the level at which you're looking at things starts changing the way you look at architecture around. That allowed us to look into something called spontaneous encounters. So in a way, the idea to explore, to experiment, and to be able to craft came out of this whole exercise. So this is Rachana in our office just putting it out because sometimes this whole struggle of doing something over again for a site which was actually there and which we could have done allows some sort of a thought process to go beyond this frustration that it allows us to start looking at various ways of putting it out. Uh, just showing you an idea of how one of the buildings evolved and the whole idea of consistently continues into the rest of the area. So this is one of the areas where the plinth was raised, lifted up for the water to flow, and everything else was built around with what was existing. It is happening on site right now. And we started hunting for stones that were around. We said, let's not quarry it more. So what you see is being built out of that. Whatever doesn't get built does not need to be there. So in a way, the kind of connect that you start having from the inside to the views and the kind of connect that you would have for the water from the water body around allows you to understand the sense of place in its own way or with its own meaning. So projects like these are sort of experimented at ground up level where we're looking at contextuality from a very different sense. Quick to show you a project that is zero context. So this is a large campus that's in Manipal. We are building these 4 or 5 buildings there, and they have got a spectacular view actually around the valley. And this is actually on the other side is where we build Manipal Architecture Campus. This is for a different client though. This is for TAPNI, which is a management institute. But they decided to test us, saying, okay, you start with a small project first, let's see how we respond. Although we have all the other things also happening. So this is to show you if there's no context, how you respond or how you react. So clients require a building that goes beyond just their business administrations, and they wanted to look at cyclic economy in a way, or circular economy in a way where they said we are open to the way architecture can respond. They needed a series of classrooms, seminar rooms, and places to sit, etc. So he said, can you look at it and turn it around and say, make it into a landscape project rather than an architecture project? So in a way, we questioned the idea of brief. We wanted to reinterpret it as a series of steps that comes together, allows you to have discussions, and the rest of the building starts looking up into a way where the opposite, the east on one side, has its own sense of crucibles coming together, where there are open office spaces, connects you, and then starts responding to the kind of light you want to speak in. And the external becomes almost like a connect between the landscape and what's around. So what you start seeing is then how do we respond when there's nothing else to look around, and then it becomes a sort of an experiment to understand what happens when the architecture is a landscape and the landscape becomes a series of spaces. Manipal has a lot of rain, lot of sun, etc. So we knew we'd have to cover the space. And these are where our travel stories, etc. start coming into picture. And you realize that the idea of the art and the kind of canopies or the pavilions sort of have been a part of it. So we started developing this whole idea in a way not to respond to what you see, but in a way to respond to what is around. This is a top view of what's around in the forest in Manipal area, which is very, very close inside the campus. So we started saying, is there a way our canopies can start generating energy? So that's where all the solar panels start getting planned. So what essentially was an architectural project becomes a sort of a landscape intent, and then you have our own canopies in a way sort of trying to find itself within the back where you have the actual trees growing. Movements like these, we should be finishing this in the next 2-3 months, I think. Movements like these are testing grounds for us because these are smaller projects. Organizations like TAPNI, Manipal, etc. Come with a lot of challenges. Expectations are very high, but we still find a way to tell our stories, still find a way to understand how we want to respond and what needs to be done, etc. It's nearing completion now where the idea we're working with a few guys who work on bamboo closely, understanding how it responds. Next set of projects. So I thought I should show you 2-3 projects which actually fall in a more urban setting, but again have its own meaning in terms of non-linear approach. This is the Manipal Bangalore campus that we are doing. There are 2 architects working on this. That's us and Sundaram Architects, and there's a police contractor who's doing a bit in as well. So the first project that came to us was the Srishti campus. That's the Srishti School of Design, where requirements are very unique. So they had Nathan Chaya, Professor Nathan Chaya, who ran SAP for 24 years, who gave us a brief, and it was a fantastic opportunity for us to look at how they think. So on a brief, you know what they did? They sat together, they came up with a series of thoughts which felt was necessary for Srishti to evolve into. They started doing models I had a lot of discussions at Ahmedabad where the whole core team of Srishti went there, actually sat together, and they developed the whole process. Then they came to us with a brief of what they thought Srishti should speak. And that's where we got into picture because we have been working with Manipal. Srishti, we wanted us to look at, reinterpret, and see what Chaya staff had actually thought of. So, we then started working together with the Srishti core team and Chaya. And we started generating our own thought processes based on the context of Bangalore and how the site used to be and what we want to look at. So this is a project almost like a neighborhood for 3,500 students, faculty, etc. And there are a lot of writings that we started doing together. So starting from Chaya actually coming up with a fantastic set of brief, we started looking at how to reinterpret it. So it talks about the idea of how to break that whole idea of mass down to the idea of houses. What happened was there is a defense land very close to the site, so which means that if an outline is given to in the master plan or the blueprint, you cannot change anything. So that was the deal. But we wanted to break it down, so we looked at it differently. We said, okay, we'll keep the idea of the master plan alive, but we will start looking at smaller nuances within this place. So instead of looking at it as one institution, we said let's look at this as a community, almost like a trawl that you see in Bombay, and then break this down into 7 houses, because 7 departments, each trying to represent its own thought process and have its own life, but in a way start getting connected. So what started happening is the buildings started getting focused, looking at ways to communicate with each other. Each one, what you see down are the different what do you call verticals that they have, and each one started to respond on its own. In a way, we started then developing this whole series of modules. We said let's open up a little more and understand what are the sizes that Srishti likes. They love the lot of things. They've always been very democratic in their approach. So we said there are ways to open clusters. So you don't have columns that come in between, open spaces that allow you to connect, and different ways of opening up to all of these diagrams. This was happening just during the first round of COVID. So none of us could actually sit with each other. So all the meetings were happening online, and we were sitting in our homes crafting these out. And then we started working on these details of each project or each house, which I'm just going to run you through what happens with the idea of a central core. And how we start connecting. So almost it becomes like streets. Sectionally, they started having a life of its own. And we said the life of Srishti should not feel complete for at least 10 years, meaning the building should look as if it's still on. So even after a year since we completed and handed over the project, the building still looks like there's a lot to do, because all the sections that you see is where we wanted the team from Srishti to start crafting things, get their artwork, get their life into the building. There were a fantastic set of things happening. Our idea of craft in that context was architectural, very strong, powerful architectural, but in a way decoded what Professor Chaya had in mind and the Srishti team had in mind. So this is probably for us more of an intervention where we went so live, because we were afraid of doing too much, because we were always taking and not doing a lot. So when we started presenting this to the Mahe board, they were surprised at our approach, because our approach has always been a little eccentric. But in this case, we held ourselves back so much that it sort of feels that the building has a lot of longer life to it. All that you see was done during COVID, so all of us with masks, a lot of times Chaya used to come, we would have a lot of meetings, fantastic moments, a lot of learning from him. And this idea of unfinishedness was important, because each time you walk into Srishti, it sort of has a facade that allows you to craft whatever you want. So they start doing a lot of things. Each time you walk into the space, it opens up differently. So the building is so porous. Of course, there are no doors to enter, there are no gates that can be locked. So you can walk in from anywhere, and this series of connections that you see in between is almost made to feel like a throne. Sometimes the idea of a community comes from people who inhabit it, and architects need to take a step back. So these are moments of learning for us, which was super important. In the same campus, There's an auditorium that we worked on, so we did that project on this side. And on these projects where student housing that we did, I think that's the engine block that we were working on and the library block that we're doing. I want to show you a non-academic space that we worked on, which again had the restriction of the outline. So how do you respond when you have that? And then we said, okay, it needs to work differently from the rest of the academic blocks. So it started responding to this idea of the requirement of a food court on the lower level and the auditorium on the upper level. And we wanted to expose the services of the movement of the people. So the ramps actually come out. So everything that you want to see on the outside is to know, are there too many people? Is it full? Can I walk in, etc. So it's porous on the lower end, but on the outer side, the ramp tells you whether there are people walking up, is it too crowded? So in a way, a response moved away from knowing what's inside the building to knowing what's outside, which was more important. And it was a 52-meter roof and the structure on the floor. In a way, building itself, and sectionally when you start seeing it, it was a two-level auditorium for 1,000 to 150 people, and a lot of other connected spaces that become a part of it. These kind of projects require a lot of technical know-how, and for us, actually, most of the projects that you see are things that we're doing actually for the first time. We've never built an auditorium. In fact, we've never done a college or a campus before we did NSAP architecture. So, a new approach for us also to see how do we respond to something that could have been done in a different way. So, in a way, we start breaking these down into a series of workings where we had about maybe 60 people who were constantly collaborating with us for the project, mediating discussions, etc. And about 450 people worked on the project. We had a timeline of just 1 year to finish it from the start of the building to the end of it, including the interiors. So, projects like these allow us to understand scale. It allows us to understand how do we respond because we're a small studio. How the kind of expectation that people have technically outside, inside, how does it respond to what's around? That's usually there, this is up here. So in a way, the kind of nuance that an auditorium building requires for presentations like these need to go beyond just a mundane auditorium. So this Christie being a part of it and a lot of design schools being a part of it, it allowed us to open up into something that we had never done before. So this we finished about a few months back, and we got some of our friends to sort of find their meaning in it through images, videos, etc. So we got a photographer duo. We spent a couple of days doing shoot of Srishti and this, and I wanted to understand how they think and what they see. And those are moments of learning too. So moving on to the last project, which is the architecture campus. Been there for a couple of years now, I think maybe, I don't know, I think we finished it 2 years back. Just to tell you how this was the first project and what you saw earlier were actually things that we're doing now. So in a way, it tells you the kind of thought process that has always been a part of our thinking and the kind of cultural connect that a city like Manipur needed was always there. So we got a fantastic site there, for example, 14 meter top all the way. So instead of looking at a build, which is something like this, we started opening it up and started looking at the micro details of it. So a module which is there as a 10 meter by 12 meter, when you start placing it like this instead of opening up like this, we started responding to the contours so that each classroom or studio starts having a terrace that you can open up. And instead of having staircases stacked on one side, we started doing this. So each time you walk up, you are able to see what's happening in the next classroom and then take a call if you want to go there. So in a way, although the people complain saying there's a lot of walking through, I think architecture is always meant to be that. Architecture is meant to discuss, understand what's happening in that, not to just rush into what you want to do. Then a lot of the details started opening up where you see from the valley side. Vertical prints that are coordinated so that it works in line with the sun, wind, etc. Horizontal with light, getting light shelves, etc. Openings. And in a way, understanding how even the outdoor space will become a part of the indoors. So this space is the north on one side and I think northeast on the other side. So in a way, we started responding to a part Well, we really wanted it to become in a way where it responds to the wind, even without the wind not being there. So that was the task we set for ourselves. And we said if we are able to do that, then the building should function well. And then the rest of things start coming together. The rest of the block actually wanted us to respond a little differently because when you realize that a place like Manipal has so many outsiders, again I'm going back to the idea of what I started off with roots. None of them are actually from Manipal. Very, very few people who are actually studying or practicing there. They don't know these that's the first gateway that you see when you enter, and that's the Krishna temple, that's very well known. We started analyzing the geometry as architects, and we realized that these, in a way, need to start telling their own stories as a part of our entrance to the campus, in the space. And in a way, although abstract may not come out directly, the idea was to build this whole thought process, which becomes an important part of the whole psyche of where you belong and which city it is. And the idea of brick has always been there in Manipal, laterite, so widely found. And the idea of the color, the texture, etc., becomes a continuity of what's there in the city. So for us, connecting these dots or looking into what's that's actually happening, this was taken 5 years back. We will be working on that project. But in a way, it talks about what it takes for a small studio like us to build. So when we were doing this was again during COVID. My partner Aditya and I will drive down. You get stopped at 3 checkpoints asking why you're going there. And in a way, the intent was to make sure it gets built exactly the way we had planned. We were 11 people in the office. Now we are about 40, but the struggle is still the same. It didn't change much. The time that we put into projects, the speed at which our thoughts are pushed because we want to do a lot of things. There's a lot that's in our mind, are always part of the whole process of detailing every single bit. So in a way, what you're seeing is it's sort of a non-linear approach towards what typically would have been a beautifully crafted project. But in this case, we respond to what's around first, what's inside, and how do you connect, and where you see the idea of architecture moving. So that's what you get to see. Yes, so that's us, and thank you for. How long did I speak? But I remember speaking Jones.
Perfect. Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience, insights, and expertise. So now we'll start with the question section. So the floor is open for the question from the audience.
ಮೈಕ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಮೈಕ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಯಾರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕೇಳ್ರಿ
Maybe we can chat later. Thank you so much.
Now I invite Sagar sir to felicitate the architect action. I now welcome Tanushree Sudha to introduce our second speaker, architect Tumkur Chaitanya. Good morning, everyone. The Krishna Chaitanya is an architect, designer, future designer, a model maker, and a district painter. He has had a studio set up in Hyderabad since 2007. Had his master's in architecture technology from the University of Nottingham in 2019. He defines the architectonics through its of experimentation, exploration of new methods, and always welcomes technology in any form to reach an architecture he constantly seeks. Form defines it all. His Hindu crematorium, Mahaprasthana in 2015, is a reflection of his design philosophy that has won several national design awards and was exhibited in Design in Depth at Emily Carr University of Art and Design, Vancouver, Canada from Jan to April 2019. His works have been published in both national and international magazines and journals. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You guys had your breakfast, is it?
Yes.
Right. So what I want to do right now, a series of events that I've done in the past few years. I'm going to talk about my perspective of what architecture is. And you decide whether it is global or whatever it is. Yeah? And we'll see what it gives you like. I'm going to use two tools or two architecture handles you can call them. These tools, how I use them to create an architecture object. Because at the end of the day, a building is an architecture object. let's see how I've used these two tools to create an architecture object. And let's see if my perspective is in the right direction or not. The first project I'm going to talk about is the tutorial. Not the one that you guys, I don't know how many of you know Mahaprasthana, but this is not the one. This is a tutorial that is built in heart of Hyderabad, relatively small one, in compact, in a relatively compact, I don't know the word, graveyard. What you're going to see here is a different interpretation of I don't know how to call it. It's not a space of death, but it's more of a utilitarian space because people seem to be put off by the idea of crematorium and death and all of that. Let's see how we are going to treat this. So typically speaking, these crematoria have a communal space as the government, especially the government funded ones, where the space is tight. They want to have more number of lives, etc., and they tend to have a communal space. It's like a huge shed, a factory, which got individual bodies burning. It's almost like a dystopian future kind of thing. So when we were given, when we wanted to approach this, this is almost like the seventh or eighth of the chemical hospital project that we were proposing. By the time I was doing quite some research to do with the emotional connect, the kind of tragedy that people have when it comes to death and all of that. And I started noticing that a lot of people, especially one of my friends also had got that he had a tattoo of the last heartbeat of his father. It was very emotional and heartwarming and all of that. But that aside, it look at interesting prospects also. If you look at that tattoo, it's got the heart rate's got up and down. So you're going to have positive space and empty space, crusted clubs and all of that. So if you interpret that in terms of architecture, that's very interesting approach, interesting object is going to come out. So those are the proposals that we gave. This was designed, this was built back in 2017 and 18, before COVID. But due to various political reasons, it was on a hiatus and it just opened last year. So we're going to get a photo of that probably today or tomorrow. So what you're going to see, what you're seeing here is the central trucks. There is pipes on the left side and there's a waiting hall on the right side. So let's see how we have come to that object. So there is the volume that we are looking for. And this curve or this band is because there was an existing building already on the site and they demolished it and we wanted to use the foundations for various economical reasons. And then this slices the way the heartbeat works. Then you push or you pull the corners so that you have more room on the top. But whether it is an ornament, you slice the top, whether you wipe the slice it. You scoop out the innards. You play with the roof a little bit, and also I'll show you why we have done it. And there you have a very simple geometrical approach. And this is the building as it stands now. So on the left hand side, you have the waiting hall, which is more of a communal space where one gets to live with the family. But on the right hand side is where you are left alone. It's a very difficult moment, especially for men who, who light the fire at the last moment. They don't want to be alone. So we did something called as smoke distance. So what are the fires tend to woodburn fires or even pellets, they tend to create a lot of smoke. And the smoke gets trapped at the top. So how do you vent it out? Obviously you can't do a TV. So the slides work, but when you start studying these, the rooftops, if they're horizontal, the smoke tends to get, it winds up there and it comes back again. You start tilting those, you start slicing them to angles, which allows smokes to escape much quicker. So that's the process. So how it is. Look, what happened? What is that? And so don't like the shaking hand with the phone. So there are a few more other blocks that are being built as well. So this is the sentence. We use something called as EPS technology for those of you are interested. EPS is nothing but expanded polystyrene. Polystyrene is nothing but Tumkur. So this is certified technology that IIT Madras is developing. So they take 3 sheets of styrofoam, encased in wire mesh, and then concrete is shot on it. So it's called shot tape. So this allows much lighter load on the buildings. The structure is much lighter. The cost is much, it's much cheaper, so on and so forth. And it allows you to build without scaffolding and all of it. So it has its pros and cons. That's how it is done. So those are the patterns. These are the shortcutting is done this way. This is the penthouse that we are doing right now. This is for a client who wanted an additional room on top of his building, existing building. Typical building, it's got few boiler facades and a patched roof on the top. So his requirement was don't touch any civil work. So how do you do it? And a very simple expression comes from the women who carry those baskets on the top. So compromise will call them and then what if you lift the entire penthouse on top of the building? So it was very simple idea that we were trying to work out with. And that's what we have done. What interestingly turned out to us when you're experimenting on ideas like that, typically a building, any building, has got a couple of surfaces on the arm and there's a roof. That's what we always see. In this, when I was doing the video of it, I got to see the bottom. So instead of doing the top, which usually is the case, I had a chance to work in the bottom. So that was quite. That's what I did. So there's the kind of the what do you call it? The existing house. Strategic half. The rear side is the sleeping quarters. The front side is the entertainment area. Introduce some cuts and also the light wherever it is dark. Scoop out the inners and you have your architecture. How does it play? How does it play that?
Video and film.
Yeah, so the idea is to do it in steel and zinc and zinc sheets and all of that. So that tomorrow there's an issue with on top of it. The audio is working? That's all right. No problem. Okay, these are very simple tools. So try to explain to you the way I did when I was a student. This is done in a software like SketchUp. So just use a simple tool like slides and you have those tools in software, right? And you just explore and see what is happening. So I don't have that was about
Eat better.
so it develops a free flow internal space which can be curated as they like it as time goes by. They want to go deep, they can go at party, they can go at so on and so forth. This is an interesting project that it's a kind of, although we call it a farmhouse category, it's kind of an estate house. It's a very rich business tycoon in Hyderabad, a powerful guy. So he's got a 100-acre estate and he wants to build a estate home there. He wants to retire, and he entertains dignitaries, ministers, chief ministers. He entertains even consulate generals, etc. All of that. So how do you create architecture for a man who's got so much personality, who's so, for lack of a better word, powerful person. So this is a small attempt on to try to capture that kind of personality. So I think I'll just explain you briefly what the approach is, and then in the process, the next steps, you'll see how the process, how I approach the process and how the architecture turned out this way. So principally what I wanted was there's going to be a long driveway. At far end of the driveway is going to be a staircase and it's going to stand on top of it. So whoever is going to come has to come through the driveway, walk or in the car. When they get down, they have to walk all the way to reach it. It's as simple as that. So the entire is based on a mount. There's a word for it. It's called prairie-style houses. If you go through it in your architecture history and library, you'll find Frank Lloyd Wright was the one who popularized this. These are the houses which go horizontal and not vertical. So this house, even just the plan of it, it's spread across 3 acres. So if this was that horizontal. Same thing. You take the volume that he wanted, you slice it in half. The left wing is for the public area, and the right is for this private spaces. And you take it, you push it towards what you call cantilever it as much as possible, because he's a dominating guy. He knows how to get his way around. And then you slice it. Because kind of relaxed, dominating should not be what you call menacing. And then you slice the approach inwards because the ground is larger but the roof is smaller. So it is kind of intimidating when you walk into the entrance of the house. And you add your planes, surfaces to enhance what you're trying to do. And then you scoop out the inner and see what happens. Yeah. Because you do add a structure because structure and cantilevers. That was the principal idea behind the project. Can I take now?
With audio equipment.
Yeah, thank you. What happened? I'm not done. You want me to give anything? So that's the idea, right? This is going to stand there, and people are going to come to the building, and they're going to walk all the way up. The interesting thing is, I don't know how many of you know, but my generation would know. Especially when we were working on the plans and all, there's a lot of horizontality going on around that. What happened? Say it again.
Halfway through? Any problem? Yeah, so the ratio of carpet area to balconies or what you call outdoor spaces is almost 1:4, 1:6, and 1:8. It's quite a big ratio. And it was done intentionally because I think second time or third time I attended it was in his office. And as I said, my generation knows about a park called Tailspin. I don't know who else you know. And there is a character called Sherkhan. Have you guys heard of that? Nobody knows Tailspin? Okay, Sherkhan is a tiger and he lives in his office is in a form of cover. And he sits behind a giant desk. So very intimidating. Far out of the room, in front of a large window, he sits on a behind a giant desk. And this man also had a giant desk. It was huge. It was not a conference table, it was a huge table. This for himself, even for him to reach to him, he had to work all the way around. So I implemented the same idea on the building. So in proportion carpet area to open areas is going to be really high. Those are all these spaces that go inside. What you call there is his library, his lounge, his bar, and there are again his sleeping quarters. So guess he's got another building coming up. This particularly belongs to him. You also have a plan somewhere. Yeah, so that's the plan. So on the left hand side is the public spaces. On the right hand side is completely his, private and semi-private spaces. This is a house that we've done in Hyderabad, the area called Tumakuru. It's very densely populated. And through the next few slides, I'll tell you why we call it more than Asian. And we'll see how those, same process that I've explained before. See how those have helped me, perceive the architects for this particular gentleman. Interestingly, this man is from Karnataka. He's from Gulbarga. Yusuf, the three brothers. The eldest one is Yusuf. I worked with him in my first project in 2007. He used to supply wooden flooring, carpets, etc. It was a very tiny shop in the whole city of Hyderabad. What happened? Yeah, same story. Backstory is he left Gulbarga, he was from Patel family with a pair of shirts and a pant. And he reached to a point where he said, I want to be saved. It's as simple as that. So most of you know what cities look like. Significant kind of modernized old city, and the lanes are really narrow, barely 20-25 feet wide. Setbacks and all. Low planes have the setbacks and all of that. So the point was, how do you find an architectural person who has got so much, what do you call, clarity and charisma? Somebody who's lost everything, who's got lowest of the low and he's built all by himself. How do you represent that kind of, attitude in architecture? That was what we tried to do. I'll also show you pictures of surroundings before it was built in the surprise. When it happened, it says rapid urbanization is one good example. That is the only green space around that That's the main approach, that's the main facade, that's the main architecture that you see. The top floor is for his kids, where they have their classrooms, etc. All that. The first floor are the bedrooms for all three brothers with their own lounges. And the ground is for the common spaces. The typical Muslim family, I have never met any of the women from the family. So you can understand the Parda system that they are working with. So he is, what do you call, very clear about what he wanted. So nobody should see what is happening inside. He should be able to, if not see, at least feel the air, get the light, etc. All of that. The introverted building, if you can call it one. On the left hand side is the car park, the building is in the front, and the right hand side is the entrance porch and all of that. We just take this as. So you take all the requirements, you put it on the areas and all what is happy with. The ground floor has got all the common spaces, the separate rooms for men, etc. All of that. The first floor has got his bedroom, brothers' bedrooms, lounges, courtyards for their private usage. So all this is the common. You see, as I said, pressure is a very powerful factor. And the use of space is true. It breaks people, it smalls them, and creates the character and clarity that just makes them unique. And if you take note, it's under pressure that precious things are made. So it's a very beautiful thing. And it's one more example of that. So I try to, even the urban context and all, we just sat there. So you use the surroundings to cut and slice the building in such a way that poetically it shows what is gone through. My wife calls it rigidity. That's because we had my English teacher. She was the first one who saw this project. I was showing it to her in my phone, and she said it looks like an iceberg. That is where the idea of pressure came from. Initially, we didn't have that idea, but like I tell you, it seems as if it is moving. So there is a movement towards it. There is although the forms and all are rigid, it seems to have a flow, and it's not quick and fast paced. It seems to take its own time. It's more little gestures that create the architecture or that make what it is. On the left hand side, you see the entrance. That is the so day one. This gets started from that point because you walk through the area, you know what is going to happen in the future. When we first went to the site, it was all empty. Some government land, which got auction and all of that. So that was a small part of building that would be to the main road. It's almost 100 meters away. So science, but till the end of the project, I could not. Something was missing. Something was missing, or something was not adding. I don't know why. Suddenly, I had a thought of just the way working and all of it, and this nice bottom of the top floor. If you see the bottom, it's all upwards. That's because I heard his father say to him in one of those meetings. Of course, Sarut Thake is being here. It's a very dialogue. So, Sarut Thake is very much in. So, the moment is like it's something felt right. That's what we have done. I didn't tell him all of that. I think it's just fancy. Just have a feel of it. So there are the internal courtyards. All the land is taken up from the top, of course. And it's all the urban context. We can't have any windows on the sides. So there were 6 or 7 courtyards and skylights, etc. All of that. We didn't do the interiors. Interiors was done by Amir and Vida. We wanted the best in interiors, best in architecture, landscape, etc. All of that. We did only the architecture part of it. Interesting in this part that you see, which is green. The only reason it is green because he bought it at the end. Initially, somebody else is bought it, eventually bought it. By the time the structure was also done. So somehow I don't know, in what kind of whatever it is, so that's why it is left green as of now. I'm sure it's going to build something in the future there. That's why you see the extensions, all of it, they're done in steel. The main structure is done in concrete and typical RCC structure. The extensions are done in steel. So it's a composite structure if you and we had a chance where there was an opportunity to create some architecture objects also. Okay, objects are like your lights, tables, furniture, so on and so forth. I call them architecture objects because they are derived through the architecture. They are not bought in plugged in. So it is one exercise that we did. So you have this, and then I need to go right near the coach. So I took the coach, join the diagonals to see what happens. Right? You join them, it is isolated, and you see what happens. It creates an interesting form. Then just dangling some lights to it, and there we have it. A chandelier. This architecture is giving you information to do something, just more than the building. That's we like that we have done. So Amin also wanted my culture details, so we get same geometry. You add the things, you proportion it to a dining table. Yeah. You scale it, you skew it, and then you put a glass on top. That's a dining table. Again, your architecture is giving you information. It is helping you out to do the objects also. I'm not talking about interior design, right? I'm talking about objects. This is my what do you call it? Sign off. How many know that riches are a plaster? You know riches are right? Have you heard of them? No. Google it. It's brilliant. You know what I'm talking about. Once you see who Richard said, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. He does rustic metal panels, curved, his sculptor. They're massive, this huge curved, thick metal walls that run across. They're placed in urban context in city centers, etc. It's really amazing work. That's the picture of the site during construction. Just take a note at what is happening and see the next picture. That is what is happening now. I'm sure even this green area is gone. This was taken 2 or 3 years ago, right? So if you go back, see, look at the building on the left hand side, the blue one. It was not even built. I thought I'd have a better view of the building, but yeah, that is what it is. So it's a typical RCC structure. There are some shear walls inside for the rigidity of it, floating columns and all of it, so that I get the cantilevers and those volumes that I'm looking for. The extensions, as I said, are done in steel with concrete and or shortcut on top. So I think it's just unique construction. This one, what is this? Oh yeah, this is a party pad that you're working on right now. A party pad is nothing but a place where rich people go on weekends to drink. As simple as that. So a group of friends wanted a hangout space in a 100-acre land for, and they identified this place also, like typical Deccan factory. There's a sheet of rock, and they wanted to build something on top of it. Like the borders that you see in and around Deccan area, those the one that cantilever tip, they tend to rest on a small point, it's a cloth. Quite clear, they were quite clear with what they wanted. So this is the proposal that we gave. So it's a gentle mount. It's not the topography is not too high. Hyderabad doesn't really have beautiful views, if you say. If you look at it, but the landscape has between only during rains and winters. So there are 2 blocks. The left-hand side block is the sleeping quarters. They get 2 levels sleep there. This is where they want to hang their parties and gatherings. So you get the effect of a boulder that is floating. And Unlike border, which is curved and all, I do not see that in that. They are very sharp. They come from an area called West Godavari and they're very sharp with the tongue. There's a saying in Telugu which says, words cut like knives. That's how they talk. I do not see a rounded edge on them. Somehow, even they got convinced. I told them that all still cannot be, rounded off. Same thing. You take a requirement of what they have. You turn and rotate them towards the direction that you want. In some viewpoints or the focal points in the master plan that you want to look at. You cut them diagonals because more than the fencer, the diagonal has longer length, so the opening is going to go wider. You slice the back so that you want more sunlight coming into the building. You get a jagged effect like a what do you call tessellated effect kind of thing. And then you scoop out the areas. As simple as that. All the tools, the just two tools that I've used, it's done in SketchUp by the way, the software that you guys have seen. There's a road. We're working on the structure now, but I don't know what is the So the outside is all going to be rough and corrugated steel and rusty steel and all of it. But inside you're going to be steel ones. These guys, I don't know why they all have everything white cars, white houses. They don't have white bikes though. They all have everything white. That was talking about. Yeah, we're going to build it in steel, it's not direct construction. We just get it most of the sheet of rock and then just start building it up from there. I'm going to end up with this one. This is one project which really picked me off. This is a that I have designed. I think one or two more, but we'll talk about it later. So this is a client from Andhra region and he's interesting. Because apartments, what he said was apartments are nothing but pillow cover designs. Which essentially means there is a plan which is based out of Boston and what your school systems are. There's nothing but pillowcase. That's what he said. Something did not fit right. This is an example of what happens when you go berserk. So what I'm going to show you is based on the previous projects. Imagine that you're doing n number of times, multiple times. You see how the architecture turns out. That was the proposal of what we gave. It's a typical 5-floor apartment. I think per apartment you have 3 or 4 units. Those of you who have noticed that thing at the left bottom, that's because the guy who did this is a committee. I'm not his man. What do you call it? If I'm visible here is conceptual outfit. Start slicing where the requirement is, where the units are being divided because master plan right. And then start modeling them, pushing them up and scoop out where the areas are required to add your floors. And start adding streets or lanes that are going to either be transparent or like lower stage or they're going to be solid, depending on the requirement. As we go by, we'll see. Once you start adding these, even the gate, then you start crafting each one of them. You start slicing and molding each one of them. Then you will see what is going on. So what happens is no more panels are going to be the same. So no floor plan will be the same, no facade panel is going to be the same, no construction. What do you call it? It is not going to be as if this particular template for this wall is going to be for the other one. The structure also is start doing if you don't do columns, you just do B columns and not like columns are there for. Just do. Interestingly, my office calls it Rorschach. You know what a Rorschach test is? You put ink or this it is called. You put it in an open, you see butterflies and all of it. My wife is a butterfly here. Come on. So she calls it a Rorschach. Interesting. See, once you do something abstract and leave the people, they interpret it. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it isn't settled, but it's fun, more or less. Yeah, I think this is 1 minute and there is 2. I think there are 3 years. That's it. Very good. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful thoughts and talk. And now I request Sagar sir and Asha ma'am to felicitate sir.
Resume back at 1:30.
Now we'll be having lunch break and the program will resume at 1:30.
Stop. Abhijit, stop.
area like